Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
In December 2025, Australia introduced a new and very strict law. This law stopped all teenagers under 16 years old from using popular social media sites. The country presented this rule as a way to protect young people. Australia wanted to be a global example, keeping its children safe from the many problems found on the internet. This was the first time any country had put such a wide ban in place. Just a few days after this law began, a major internet company, Reddit, reacted strongly. Reddit, a large online platform for discussions, filed a lawsuit in court against Australia. This legal challenge caused a big international stir and much debate. People all over the world began to watch this conflict closely. At the heart of this story is a central conflict. A nation is trying very hard to protect its children from the possible harms of social media. Against this, a powerful technology company is fighting for free speech and open access to information. This case will explore the balance between a government's duty to protect and a company's fight for what it calls digital freedom. However, Reddit is not the only group challenging this new rule. A second, perhaps more surprising, lawsuit has also been filed. This case was started by two teenagers themselves. These young people are the very ones the law is meant to keep safe. Who are these teenagers, and what makes them want to challenge their own government's protection?
Their reasons are a key part of this unfolding story. For many, Reddit's choice to sue an entire country seems like a very difficult, almost impossible task. It appears to be a big risk for the company. So, what secret legal argument does Reddit believe it has? What special strategy gives them hope that they can win this huge fight against a nation? The answer might surprise everyone. The new law. Australia's new rule was called the Online Safety Amendment. It started on December 10, 2025. This new law was very powerful. It stopped all young people under 16 from using 10 big social media sites. These sites included Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, X, which used to be Twitter, Twitch, Kick, Reddit, and Threads. It was a complete ban for a whole age group, impacting millions. If a company did not follow this law, they could pay a very large fine. This fine could be as much as 49.5 million Australian dollars. This was about 33 million US dollars. The law had one very strict part. Parents could not give permission for their children to use these sites. There were no exceptions, making it the first law of its kind in the world. This showed how serious the government was about protecting youth. The Australian government said this law was necessary to protect young people from real harm. They explained that social media caused many problems, such as mental health issues like sadness and worry.
It also led to cyberbullying, online exploitation, and young people seeing content designed to keep them addicted. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese spoke strongly about the law, comparing it to Australia's tough gun rules from the past. He said Australia was setting a new global standard for keeping children safe online. Most adults in Australia strongly supported this new rule. They saw it as a strong shield to protect their children from the many dangers online. The law truly felt like an immovable, powerful force. With such a strong law, backed by the government and many citizens, Reddit's fight against it looked almost impossible. The law seemed very firm and widely supported. But Reddit's lawyers believed they had found a secret. What weakness did they see in this very strong law that seemed to have no flaws? 3. Reddit fights back. Reddit did not just accept Australia's new law. On December 13, 2025, the company started its own legal fight in Australia's High Court. Reddit believed the new law was wrong and went too far, challenging its very foundations. The company's first argument was a big surprise. Reddit said it was not truly a social media platform in the way the law defined it. The law was for platforms whose main job was to help people make social connections and interact with each other. Reddit, however, saw itself very differently.
It was more like many public online rooms called forums, where people gathered to talk about specific topics. These topics could be anything from news and science to hobbies and personal interests. Reddit described itself as a place for ideas and discussions, not mainly for social chats like other platforms. It believed this made it different from sites like Instagram or TikTok, and that the ban should not apply to its service. Reddit's second big point was about young people's voices and their political rights. The company argued that the new law stopped young Australians aged 13 to 15 from talking about important political ideas online. These young people would soon be old enough to vote. Reddit said they needed to learn, discuss, and share ideas now to grow their political understanding and be ready for voting later. Taking away their online places for political talk was against their freedom to communicate, which the Australian Constitution protected in some ways, especially for political discussions. Third, Reddit raised serious concerns about privacy. To check everyone's age, the new law needed companies to collect a lot of personal information from all users, not just young ones. This meant both young people and adults would have to share private details about themselves. Reddit worried these age verification methods were intrusive and not safe. The company traditionally valued user anonymity, meaning people could use its service without giving their real names. This new requirement would force Reddit to fundamentally change this. It might also mean using computer programs to guess ages, which could make mistakes and wrongly block users. The fight was no longer just about the government's power. Reddit was now fighting back with clever legal ideas. Its case showed that the new law, which seemed very strong, might have some weak points. The company's careful arguments tried to balance the power in this big legal battle. While Reddit's challenge was strong and well-planned, it was still a corporate argument about business and law. But the strongest challenge might come from a different place. It might come from the teenagers mentioned earlier in the story, who were also fighting the law in a very personal way. 4. The teens case. We finally meet two young Australians, Noah and Macy. They are both 15 years old. These teenagers are doing something very brave. They are suing their own government. They are not doing it for money or for business profits. Their case is about their personal freedom and basic rights. They believe the new law stops them from accessing information and sharing their thoughts freely online. A civil liberties group helps them with their lawsuit. This group is called the Digital Freedom Project. A politician named John Ruddock from New South Wales leads this group.
Noah and Macy started their legal challenge in late November of 2025. Their argument is powerful. They say the law takes away their right to talk about important political things. Their key message is democracy doesn't start at 16. They believe that about 2.6 million young Australians are losing their voice. They cannot join important talks during a time when they are learning about their country. This period, before they can vote, is vital for them to understand politics and form their own ideas. The law, they feel, stops them from growing into active, informed citizens. Reddit's lawsuit is about a company's rights and business. It focuses on big rules and money. But Noah and Macy's case changes the whole discussion. It makes the debate a human rights issue. It shows how the law affects individual people and their basic freedoms. It highlights that the law is not just about platforms, but about young people's ability to express themselves and learn. This makes the fight feel much more personal and important to many. It raises the stakes, showing what real people could lose. The High Court will have a first hearing for their case in late February of 2026. Both their case and Reddit's case might be heard together by the court. So now, both a big company and individual citizens are fighting this law. The legal battle is very strong in the courts. However, there is an even bigger war that the government is facing.
It is a technological war, and this war might be impossible to win. 5. A big problem. Australia's new law to stop young people under 16 from using social media has met with a big problem. It is much harder to make sure everyone follows the rules than the government thought. The plan to keep young people safe online is not working well in real life. Social media companies must check the age of all their users in Australia. They use different methods for this. Some companies use smart computer programs that look at people's faces to guess their age. These are called facial recognition programs. Other companies watch how people use their apps. They look at things like what people post, what groups they join, and how often they are online. This helps them guess if a user is likely under 16. However, these smart computer programs are not perfect. The technology is still new and can make mistakes. Sometimes a program might think an adult is a child, or it might not be able to tell a young person's age correctly. This means the system often fails to find all the young users, or wrongly blocks older ones. Teenagers have also found many clever ways to get around the new rules very quickly. One common way is using special programs called VPNs, or virtual private networks. These apps hide where a person is located online, so social media companies cannot tell if the user is in Australia or somewhere else.
This makes it easy for young people to keep using the banned apps,
Some young people have even tricked the face-checking programs. They use pictures of their parents' faces or other adults to get past the age checks. Also, many teenagers have simply moved to other apps that are not on the government's banned list, like Lemonade or Yope, to talk to their friends. This situation has turned into a high-tech game. The government is trying to enforce the law, but young people are finding ways to beat the system. The technology made to stop young people is not working as well as planned. This makes people wonder if the whole experiment is failing. If the tools to enforce the law do not work, what good is the law? As Australia struggles with these problems, the rest of the world is watching closely and starting to take sides. 6. The world watches. Australia's new law did not stay a national story for long. Soon, the whole world began to watch and react. In Europe, many countries supported Australia's bold move. Leaders in France and Denmark said they were planning similar laws. Ursula von der Leyen, who leads the European Commission, openly praised Australia's ideas. She said young people should be a certain age for social media, like for smoking or drinking. Europe even started work on a special app to help people prove their age online, keeping their personal details safe. But the reaction from the United States was very different. American tech companies were strongly against Australia's law, calling it unfair. Politicians in America also spoke out. Republican Representative Jim Jordan accused Australia of forcing rules on American businesses. He said it also threatened the free speech rights of American citizens. The Trump administration took notice of this global debate. Australia's e-safety commissioner, Julie Inman Grant, even had to speak before the U.S. Congress to explain the law. Australia's health minister, Mark Butler, made the talk even more heated. He said tech companies fought like big tobacco once did, caring more about profits than children's health. This showed that the disagreement was not just about rules, but about different beliefs. Other countries also started making plans. New Zealand said it would think about similar laws. Malaysia announced that it would ban social media for children under 16 next year. Pakistan and India were looking at similar ideas, sometimes with parental choice. The conflict grew larger, becoming a fight of ideas between powerful nations around the world. However, while governments and big companies argued about these new global rules, the law in Australia created another problem. It was a hidden danger. This danger did not only affect children or companies, but every single adult citizen in Australia. Your private life. The new law in Australia had a hidden side effect that changed things for everyone. It did not only affect teenagers. Now, every adult in Australia must also prove their age to use many internet sites. This is called universal age gating. It means that to use social media, all Australians have to show they are old enough. This includes adults who have done nothing wrong. They must give personal information or use special checks like facial scans to keep using platforms they always used. This feels very personal to many. This is a big change from the past. Before, age checks happened only for specific things, like buying a drink. Now, every single user must prove their age on many platforms. This new system collects a lot of personal information. It creates massive new databases of private data. These databases hold details about millions of Australians, all linked to their online activity. Having so much personal information in one place creates big and new risks for everyone. One main risk is data breaches. If hackers get into these systems, they can steal the private details of many people. This can lead to identity theft or other problems. Another worry is government surveillance. This means the government could watch what people do online more easily than before, changing the idea of online freedom. Also, people could lose their online anonymity forever. This means they cannot be private when they are online anymore, which for some is a fundamental right. Civil liberties groups are very concerned about these issues.
They talk about possible data misuse, watching of citizens, and even censorship. The law was made to protect children. However, it has put the privacy of 26 million Australians at risk. This forces us to think deeply and ask a crucial question. Is a complete ban on social media for teens the right way to keep children safe? Or is there a different, better way to protect young people without also harming the private lives of all adults? 8. The big question. This final chapter asks the big question. Is Australia's strict social media ban for teens a necessary protection, or does it go too far? Many nations now face this dilemma. Social media causes clear harm to teenagers. It can worsen mental health, causing anxiety or depression. Dangers include cyberbullying, online exploitation, and harmful content. The Australian government believes the ban is vital to shield children from these problems. However, this protection has significant costs. Every Australian adult must now prove their age online, collecting vast personal data. This brings risks like data breaches or government surveillance, eroding online privacy. The ban also stops young people from joining important online political discussions. This limits their freedom of speech and ability to learn. Due to these concerns, other solutions are explored. One idea is algorithmic transparency, where social media companies show how their programs select content.
Better parental controls could give parents stronger tools for managing online activity. Other ideas are different rules for platforms or strict privacy settings for young users. Perhaps changing harmful design, like endless scrolling, is better than a total ban. Soon, Australia's High Court will make a very important decision. This ruling will not just affect Australia, it will set a global example for internet control, shaping the future of online life worldwide. What do you think is the best path? Is protecting children from online harm worth the costs to privacy and freedom of speech? Or are there better solutions?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world.